Hey everybody, how you doing?
Hey guys.
This is this is Lee and Jax, and we are Element 115. Welcome.
Hello. Or as
So
tonight we would go.
we start sleeping right away.
Yeah.
No, but we're
Thanks.
gonna thank you very much.
Guys, that's so sweet. We love the love.
We do. We thought we'd pop on real quick and say hello to everybody, and then roll the intro and get right into it.
Thank you, Dee from SAC. Let's get this party started.
Absolutely, we cannot wait. Got some
Thank
great
you.
stories for you.
Yeah,
Laura
we're going to do things kind of all over the board. We're going to talk a little bit about like things that we've been through. We're going to talk about like what we think, we think dreams affect us and what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
And by no means are we experts, let's just say that to begin with, but we do dream and we do go through quite a bit of stuff from the dreams. So let's just get deep into it. But let's say hello to everybody really fast.
Laura Lobbs, do you want to tell her shirt? Yep.
Yeah, actually, hopefully she's still on here. Laura, if you're on here, we just want to congratulate you again. That was our winner last week when we were playing our game of, what was the game? The Mandela
Expect me to remember? The Mandela effect.
This is what I get for trying to, let him be a part of the combos. Okay.
Thanks. Yeah, so that was the Mandela effect thing anyway.
Yeah, so we just want to congratulate you. I actually sent you your t-shirt. I don't know if it's there yet. Sometimes our t-shirts, for some weird reason, do take a little longer to deliver. So hopefully you have that. If not, it is on its way. I got on and I sent it to you the very next day. But anyway, just want to say hi. Hi, Laura. Congratulations. Hi, Paul, Deidre, Dolly, Daniela. Welcome, everybody. Race fan.
Matt Carter.
Matt. Area 51. I love that name.
Love that. That's awesome.
Melvin,
WD-40.
Definitely loving all our regular people here. You guys, we love it when you join us and join in.
Val.
Hi, Val. Yeah. You guys, I'm always going to shorten the names a little bit, so don't get upset with me. And of course, Dee's here. And let's see, anybody else down here? I don't miss anybody. Before we get
Matt Carter.
Matt.
Brown Dwarf.
And yep, Brown Dwarf's here.
Truth Seeker.
Hey, Truth Seeker.
Jennifer.
All right, he's going to say before I do, so I'll just let him.
Paramar.
Like, I'll get them before she does.
Helga.
We're messing with each other tonight, so don't mind us. Hi, Jennifer.
Keishan.
Paramarv's in the building. Helga's here.
Yep.
Okay, wait. How do you say that?
Lorelai.
Hold on. Keishin. Oh, you got to let us know how to say that. I don't want to say your name wrong.
Keishin.
I'm probably butchering that. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Lorelai.
Kurt M.
T-Bone in the house.
Yes.
Kurt's in the house. All right, guys. Well, I say we get started and we'll roll the intro and then let's get right into it.
All right, here we go.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Wes Decker. We appreciate that. Very, very
All
cool.
right.
So do you want to start with your experiences first before I go into mine, or do you want me to go?
Why don't you go ahead and go?
Okay. So we're going to get into a couple of dreams that I had around the same time that I was being abducted. Let me lay this out for you all. So I inherited a home in Normandy Park. If anybody has been on watching our show, you've probably heard me talk about this before, but it sat kind of on a bluff in Normandy Park, and it looks right over the Sound here in Washington State. So it's had a great view of the water, beautiful area. And there's a madrona tree and a pine tree that were growing up, kind of in the view a little bit. But the reason I'm saying that is it's key for the dream that I had. Upstairs in this house, we had these beautiful, huge, large, big bay windows that overlook the Sound. It's gorgeous, right over to Maury Island, if anybody's heard of the Maury Island incident. And I had this dream where I was standing in front of that window, and there was this black triangle that looked like had facets on it like a diamond, but it was a black triangle. And it came up from the water up towards the house and sat there and was just slowly spinning in my dream. And it had these blue rays that were coming out of this object, of this triangle or this diamond shaped craft, just towards the house and on me. And the light went through the window and cascaded across me and, the house, but, pretty much focused in on me for the majority of the time in this dream. And I couldn't understand, in my dream, why this was happening. Let me tell you, I don't remember my dreams very often. It's very rare. If I remember a dream, it's because in some way it's significant. And this particular dream, I remembered quite well. So the blue lights, going across and then focusing in on me. And I'm asking the question in my dream, what's going on? Well, we're checking you to see if you're ready for the new Earth. And lately, I would say within the last couple of years, this happened probably 10 years ago, but lately I've been hearing a lot of people comment about the new Earth. And what is the new Earth? I really don't know. I haven't looked into it a whole lot. What I have heard, though, is that there's another place or maybe another reality that, we could be slipping into slowly or surely into another reality, or this reality being the new Earth. I don't really understand that, but it's been a common theme lately amongst abductees and so forth. So that's something I wanted to bring up because of our discussion last week with the Mandela effect and how things seem to change from one reality to another. Is this just another facet? Which I think is totally possible. Along with that dream, 3 nights later, I had another dream, a little bit different, but same place in the house, looking out the window. Then nothing's necessarily happening outside the window, but I'm hearing this noise, this low hum, and I'm hearing this hum, and I'm okay, well, this is odd. What's going on? I'm looking out the same window, but I'm not seeing a craft, but I'm hearing something. So I walk back towards the dining room, and this bug, like a robotic bug in my dream, and it was all gold. It looked like a giant mosquito. And all of a sudden, as soon as I saw it, I could not move. I was fixed in one place and I could not move. And I wanted to get away from it because of the noise that it was making. And it came closer to me and then got on my shoulder right here and then drew blood from my body in this dream. And I'm like, okay, that hurt. What's the significance? What's the purpose of that. And what I understood then was, well, we're testing your body to see if your body is ready for the new earth. So I found that pretty interesting, and I actually wrote it down and drew pictures of this because I thought it was significant, like the date, and then also drew the picture of it because I wanted to remember it. Even though I haven't looked at those pictures in quite a while, it's like something that's really stuck in my head, and I feel is significant. And I thought I would bring it up tonight because we're talking about dreams. And there are certain things that happen. Maybe it's precognition. I know that Jackie's had several dreams that are more precognitive type things than I have. I don't remember my dreams, like I said, but Jackie, she does. Jackie remembers her dreams almost every night. And I am really jealous, to tell you the truth. I really am. I have heard for people that are trying to remember their dreams, and I haven't done this yet, but I want to try this. And that is, you set an alarm on your phone or whatever it is to beep every hour, once an hour, just like a single beep or whatever like that, so that you can realize that you're in a dream if you hear that beep, and then might remember and might be able to wake up in your dream and have a lucid dream. And that sounds really interesting to me, and I really want to try that out. But there you go. That's the one of the set of dreams that I had about the new earth, and I thought I'd bring that up. I'll get into some other stuff here as soon as Jackie goes through with her dreams. Anyway.
Okay, so I just want to say thank you to Deb from SAC. I want to say thank you to Wes Decker for the super chats. We are definitely not missing anybody. If anybody's interested in knowing who we are Jackson Lee, Element 115, and yes, we are part of Spaced Out Radio. If anybody is waiting for Dave, he will be on at 9 p.m. So this is our show. And if you guys like us, continue to watch. And if you don't, that's okay too.
That's right. And for most of you, you'll probably notice I'm in a new spot. This is not my normal place where I usually set up my computer. It's usually in a room. But I thought I'd bring it into the living room today and broadcast from here.
Okay, so anyway, let's get down into it. Okay, so I kind of want to go into things a little bit different. So a lot of people like to break the dreams down into like what they actually mean. Why are we having them? What is going on when we dream? Okay, so what's really funny is a lot of people, even as adults, still to this day, don't even realize when you say the words fall asleep, okay, that that feeling when you're actually going to sleep and you have that jerk. That is the moment. That's why they call it falling asleep, okay? Because you're going into that dream state. So, most people don't remember their dreams. There's, for some weird reason, you wake up and you're kind of like, oh, I had this like really strange dream, but I can't really remember the details. Why is that? What is the point of the dreams if we can't even, remember them? But actually, in fact, there are a lot of us, like myself, like we said, I actually do remember quite a few details of my dreams. In fact, not only do I dream, I actually have premonitions of things that are, going to be coming later in the world, and my family and different things like that. So for me, what happens is, like, let's just say back in maybe like 2019, okay, I started dreaming about what was going to be coming in 2020. And we all know very much about, like, obviously what came in 2020 for all of us. And so that started for me probably 6 to 9 months prior. And when you're having dreams like that, you can't even quite make sense of what's happening, because you're like, wait a minute, what does that mean? What is going to happen? Why am I having dreams of these odd things that are happening in the world when you know that that's not really happening as of yet. Okay. So those are very interesting dreams for people like me who have premonitions. My dad had the exact same thing. Um, a lot of times, I wish I didn't have them because you will dream about things that you don't want to know or you don't want to see.
Mhm.
And, but most of the time when I do have those dreams, I will tell people about them because it might not be until a month later, 6 months later, a year later, maybe even 2 years later, that something I tell them will in fact happen later on. And so, you know, some people call them premonitions, and other people's have, they'll have other names for what that is. But normal, regular, every night dreams, okay? When you go to sleep, most of the time we're thinking about things that we've seen, we've heard, and all the accumulation of what we've, lived with and conversations that we've had, things you've seen on videos, things you've seen on social media, TV, whatever, it doesn't matter. And basically it's just like that accumulation of information that gets stuck in your brain. And those are usually the things that we'll dream about. Usually it'll be like, okay, so I watched this weird show with my kid about like, snakes out in the wild. Okay, then my son had me watch this racing show. Next thing I know, I'm having a dream about snakes, racing each other in the desert. You know what I mean? So it's just all these different weird things that your brain holds on to. But then we also do have those other dreams where we'll say, like, okay, I haven't thought about that. I don't know why I dream about that. And does that mean something? Okay. Are we
Mhm.
looking for signs in our dreams? Well, yes, in fact, we are. Our brains do actually have process information differently in the sleep state than when you're awake. So you're actually could and possibly be traveling outside. Now, we've talked about this the other day. Are you traveling outside of your conscious mind or are you traveling outside of your body? Like, what is actually going on? What's happening? Do we actually know? I mean, I'm sure people run tests for things like this. I'm not an expert on it. These are just things that, we talk about and learn. But a lot of people wonder, like, what's up with nightmares? Okay, what's up with night terrors? Like, I have children who suffer with night terrors. A night terror is in fact what, like, say a child goes to sleep and then you think they're awake, but they're not
Mhm.
awake. They're actually still kind of in like almost like a sleepwalking state, okay? But they
Mhm.
still are not aware of what's going on. Most of the time their mind is like freaked out. It's almost like you're in a nightmare situation that you can't wake up from. Their eyes are open, they're usually walking around, they'll have conversations with you, and they can't remember anything the next day. No matter what they say, they could be crying, screaming, and this could go on for hours,
Mhm.
but they do not remember this. Now, as a child, I was a big sleepwalker. I don't remember my parents saying anything about like you would get up and scream or you would, say anything in particular about whatever, but I would just kind of wander around the house. I mean, sometimes I'd even open the door and go outside. But we are all going through different things, emotions, mental situations, how we're feeling, what our bodies are going through, if we're feeling good one day, if we're not feeling good one day, medications that we take, just everything that is surrounding us is a part of why we dream the way we do. Well, then you've got things like sleep paralysis. Okay, I, in fact, had one time, I believe, Lee, didn't you say you had one time? Okay. So we've both endured sleep paralysis where I was actually laying, this was years ago, probably I'd say like, gosh, 10 years ago now, but I was laying down in my room and I'm a side sleeper. I go to sleep on my side, I wake up on my side. I never wake up in some weird position, okay? And I usually have the covers completely off of me by the time I wake up. I get really hot when I'm sleeping. So I woke up this one morning. I will never forget it. And I still to this day do not fully understand sleep paralysis. Okay. But I had the covers like they were pulled up to my neck. Okay. I do not sleep like that. And my arms were crossed as if I was like somebody had like placed my arms like this on my body. Like it looked like I was dead in like a casket or something. And when my eyes like opened, I remember feeling frozen, completely paralyzed. And that's what sleep paralysis does. You cannot move. You're in a frozen state of like literally paralyzed in the moment. And I remember seeing this demon looking thing on top of me, looking at me. I'll never forget it. Scared the crap out of me. And I didn't really know that much about sleep paralysis prior. And it was just looking at me and laughing, and it was just growling. And I remember its mouth being huge and the teeth, and it was just frightening. And I was scared out of my mind, but could not move. And I just remember it lasting like a couple seconds and it was gone. Okay.
Mhm.
And I remember getting up and thinking to myself, what was that? And is that something in my home? What did I just go through? It was terrifying. I'm going to let Lee talk about his time he actually had that.
Yeah, my experience was quite different than yours. My sleep paralysis incident happened to me when I was about, this is before I was married. So I was probably around 25, 24, laying in bed. And just, I remember that night not being able to sleep because my soon to be wife was with me. And it was just odd for me at the time to have somebody next to me and I wasn't able to sleep. So I just laid there with my eyes looking at the ceiling. And all of a sudden, my eyes started to blink because I was, starting to fall asleep or whatever. And then I heard a noise, like this low tone that's kept getting like louder and louder as the octaves and everything went up. And I could see that the ground around me, around the bed, there was like this black mass that started to raise. As the octaves went up in frequency, so did this black mass came up. And I could not move whatsoever. Was trying to break free of it. And there was no way, and it just kept getting louder and in the higher pitch. And then the black, like it was like a mist, but everything underneath it you couldn't see. So it just kept coming up. And once it got to around the level of where I was in bed, all of a sudden it was like an audible pop and I was out of my body. And I remember being able to see in all directions at one time. And I remember how vivid everything, the colors were. And it had scared me so freaking bad that somehow I got back, I was back in, and then I was able to move again. But it was terrifying. I didn't know, at the time, I didn't know that there was something called an OBE or an out of body experience.
Mm-hmm.
But it was terrifying because I didn't know what to do with it. And since then, I've never been able to go back there because I've tried to get back and have this sort of experience again. Now, for me, I have never gotten that far again, but I have gotten to the point where I started to hear the hum and that frequency. But I have never been able to pop back out, and I'd love to go there and do that, but I guess it's one and done for me. There you go.
Yeah, I don't ever want to have another one. It was really honestly one of the most frightening things I'd ever actually been through. And I'll give you guys a tiny little backstory. I'm going to make it quick though, because it's just what I feel like is related to why it happened.
Mm.
So a couple nights prior to this happening to me, I had actually gone to an auction where they were auctioning off these haunted items,
Mm.
and I was a guest there, being part of this investigation that they were doing. So I went to the auction, and they were, like I said, auctioning off different things from different haunted locations. And I found these two different items that I thought were fascinating, and I was like, "Wow, I would love to own that." And so I ended up buying these two different things, and I took them home. And like, I think it was like the first night I stuck them in the garage. And then the second night I brought them in and I left them in the kitchen. And that was the very night that I had that happen to me. So of course, the very first thought I had when I woke up was, oh, that stuff has got to go. That's got to go. I can't with that. I'm done with that. It's out of here. And so yeah, I was like, no, no, forget it. So a friend of mine wanted the items, and I said, hey, you are more than welcome to have these, but I'm just going to let you know what happened to me. And that way you are pre warned just in case. And I don't want to, like, ever have anything like that ever again. So never again did I bring another haunted item into my home or anything that I was aware of that was haunted. But people say I'm haunted, so who knows? But
No, you're haunted, all right.
anyway, so yeah, but like getting back to what we were talking about. So, you've got all these different sets of like ways of dreaming. Now, some people, it's very interesting to me how some people say, I'm a light sleeper. And then some people can go into these really deep sleeps that are just like, hey, like my daughter, for instance, she's 11. I have the hardest time waking my daughter up. Like, it's like she is deep in it, and I can
Mhm.
shake that child like a little rag doll. Hey, wake up. I mean, she's just like flopping around. She could care less. And
Mhm.
so it's weird though, because for me, like when I first go to sleep, I feel like I'm kind of like that. I'm kind of more of a deep sleeper. Like when I'm exhausted, that's it. Don't talk to me. I'm done. Good night. Goodbye, and I am checked out. But it seems like as the night goes on, I become more of a light sleeper. So I don't know if it's just because I've gotten a little bit of sleep or what the situation is, but I do change in the morning and I become a very light sleeper. So I don't know why that is, but anyway, it does fascinate me though. You want to say something?
Well, I'm just Deb is asking if we have dreams about being online and having interactions online.
Like
I
we are
don't dream
now?
about it. I mean,
Us?
I enjoy coming on here and talking with everybody and talking with Jax, and I don't
Yeah.
have dreams about being on here. No.
He's busy having dreams about me off the show, okay? No,
Oh
I'm kidding,
boy.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, but, no, if you're asking us that, no. And if anybody has any questions, like, write it in caps, we'll jump on and we'll read it in it's not that we're trying to read them as we go along. Um, no, anyway, it does fascinate me because I do remember, like, early, as a child, I have dreams that I remember from when I was, like, 3 and 4 years old, and they have, for some weird reason, stuck with me. Do you have dreams like that where you remember something that you had, like, very early on as a child? Because I do.
Yeah, I've had several dreams, like reoccurring dreams from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
One of the dreams that really messes with me, and I still have them today, is the falling dreams. And I posted that on Facebook. You
A
probably
lot of
saw
people do
it.
that, yeah.
Yeah. So it's weird. Like I'll be up somewhere super, super high in the air, and then I'm falling and falling and falling, and
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
terrifying. It's terrifying. And then when I land, it's not like I land in the place where I was having the dream. I land in my bed in my body, which is
Mm.
really bizarre. Like, but it seems like, I'll jump out of a plane or I'll be on top of some super high building and I jump off, and it always end up leaping back into my body, even though like I'll see the
Yeah.
ground, but before I hit, it's like I see my body and I go in like that. So I don't know what that's about, but falling dreams have always plagued me.
Oh, that's weird. I don't have dreams like that. My dreams are always very strange, very detailed. I will have, and they will be so bizarre. Sometimes I'll wake up and think like, what in the world? And I'll always call Lee and say, I gotta tell you about this weird dream I had.
That's
And but
true. It's true.
yeah, I tell him all the time. Weird, strange dreams, and they're like just always like weird stuff going on. And it does make me wonder because I like what I said. I do, in fact, have premonition style like dreams. Now, I don't always think every single dream I have is going to be a premonition, but what happens usually is those kind of dreams, I'll have them over and over again. So when that happens, I start to realize, okay, there's signs. I do actually, I don't know how many of you guys know this, but I am sensitive and I have seen spirits since I was about 4 years old. They still connect with me very much so. They show me signs, they come see me. So I do have that side of me. I don't talk about that a whole lot with people because I do not do readings. But that is something that I live with. That it's something that my son lives with. My dad did before he died, and my son will tell me vividly about dreams like from past lives. So that's an interesting one for me.
You know, that's a thought too, is those falling dreams that I have. Maybe I
Mhm,
fell in one of my previous lives and died.
mhm,
And maybe that's just coming back up for me over and over and
mm.
over again. I don't know,
Okay, I'm
but
trying to read this. Let's see. Let's see. I recurring lucid dreams about watching a physics lecture and everyone else is in sleep. I've actually tried to remember the lecture and looked up stuff. Okay, so weirdest thing. Okay, so my dreams are usually just wackadoodle. I mean, I dream like normal things. And Lee can vouch for that. I will have strange things that don't make any sense. Like, but at the same time, I do often, realize that sometimes I think they're just weird things going on around us. Like I said earlier, things we see, things we hear. But then again, like I said, if I have the same recurring dream, I will start to realize there's signs in
mm,
those dreams. Now, do I think, and if anyone out there is wondering, do I think or know that past loved ones come and see us and talk to us in our dreams? Yes. If
mm,
anyone is wondering about that, that is something that I actually know a lot about because that's something that I do.
mhm.
They do talk to me in ways and let me know that that is how they sometimes communicate with us. They are always around us. Um, there is we're sharing space, okay? They're just sort of like kind of in a different veil of the space. We're still sharing all the same energy. So they are always around us. They do actually try to enter dreams, talk to you. Sometimes they do it to try to make us feel better. Sometimes they just want to connect with us and let us know that they're okay, put our minds at ease. We might be going through something. So they do, in fact, visit us in our dreams. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, I've
So,
got some things to add too,
okay, go ahead.
because you were talking about your daughter, where you were shaking her and she wouldn't wake
Yeah.
up, and that brings me back to my son's night terrors
Mm,
and what he calls the toucan man.
mhm,
So when he first started bringing up this toucan man, I started to think, well, is he talking about like back in the 1800s and the 1700s when the doctors would wear those big masks, with the long
yeah.
black snout thing just to try to keep the oxygen or the air away from their themselves, and that kind of freaked me out because he would have these night terrors where he would sit up in bed and even sometimes get out of bed and stand next to the bed and scream bloody murder, and there was no way to wake him up. When he was in that mode, all you could do is just hold him and comfort him, even though he was screaming at the top of his lungs, you know, and that would go on 3 to 5 minutes sometimes before he would, you know, relax, and then, you know, we'd get him back to bed. But it was always so terrifying for me at the time, because during this time that this was happening to him, I was actually going through some of the abduction experience for me. And it was a lot. It was a lot for me to deal with, and it scared me to death, you know, as well, obviously, as him, you know, because I didn't understand what he was seeing or what he was having nightmares about. But he told me several times, like the next day or whatever, well, the toucan man was in the room, or this, you know, that was going on, the toucan man. And so that always kind of stuck in my head too. Is like, well, what the heck is that? Is that something that he's only able to see? You know, and he gets into these states where we get in, you know, like a sleep paralysis state sort of thing, and he just can't wake up from it, you know. And it would be interesting to read a study or something like that to find out more about night terrors, because yeah, they don't just affect the children that are having them; they can affect the whole family.
Yeah, yeah. There's actually some adults that still to this day live with night terrors as well. So I'm sure there's like, you know, husbands and wives or girlfriends or boyfriends, whoever is helping the person, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So they're probably enduring like living with that with an adult as well.
Is that from?
Um,
Do you think from PTSD as well can cause something like that?
Well, there's, like I said earlier, there's so many different reasons why we do certain things. It could be, you know, neurological,
Mm,
having some kind of issue. Okay. You can have emotional issues, mental issues, physical issues. It could be hormonal issues. It could be chemical imbalance. It could just, there's so many different things that can cause your body and your mind to do certain things.
mm,
Like,
mm,
um, a perfect example. This has nothing to do with sleep, but it has perfect example of what I'm talking about. Okay. So my same daughter that I'm talking about a few years ago, uh, she had a very bad accident at school, fell off the back of a swing and hit her head on the concrete, ended up with a double concussion. And so she ended up doing some really strange things and it didn't make any sense. So
mm.
she went from having this to all of a sudden it became like crying and screaming at home at random. Okay. Like nothing would be happening and then it's just outbursts. Her legs would give out, like as if all of a sudden she'd be walking normal and her legs would give out. And she can't walk. She'd be laying in bed sometimes trying to go to sleep and have like it would seem like almost nightmares seconds after falling asleep. Okay. You just don't know exactly what your body is going through or what your mind is going through. Now, if you're healing from a double concussion, you know, that's actually, you know, damage to the brain that's trying to heal. And so you don't know like how that's actually affecting us on a daily, you know, basis. And she's just trying to heal, and all these weird different things were going on with her. And so she started having like separation anxiety and just all kinds of weird things were happening. And so it didn't make any sense because we went from having like this completely normal child to this one thing happens and then all of a sudden all these weird things are going on. So it doesn't always make sense, right? It doesn't always make sense like what makes us dream, what makes us have nightmares. You know, it doesn't always necessarily have to be watching a scary movie. I don't watch scary movies, but in fact I have frightening dreams. You
Mm.
know, like I will go to sleep and I'm not even kidding you. I'll call Lee the next day and be like, I had the most terrifying dream of these aliens like leaning over my bed or standing outside my door and then sometimes I would even feel things then I would like second guess myself like did that just happen, you know, like I'd feel my bed get shoved or something, and then you wonder like what is happening. So
You do live
yeah.
in California.
I'm driving the woo train down here.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, Karen.
But
Aw, love
I
you.
do want to get into a very significant dream that I had before we move on. Um, During the time that I was having the abductions happen, I had a dream uh, when I was married, and I had a dream that I fell in love with someone that wasn't there. But I remember that I was deeply in love with a person that I had never met in my entire life. And crazy in love. Like I woke up and it was bad. Like I miss her. I don't know where she's at, but I have, even in that relationship with my wife at the time, I didn't feel that way. The pull was extremely strong. And I even told her, I said, hey, I just had the craziest freaking dream about a woman that I have never met. Of course, that wasn't a great thing to tell her, but she was the only person I had at the time to vent to talk to, tell things to, the crazy things that were happening in my life at the time. But the way it felt was once I woke up and she wasn't there, it was like part of me got ripped away from me. And I still don't understand to this day, because it doesn't make any sense how you can fall that in love with a person and wake up and they're not there, and have that all ripped away from you that fast. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
don't have any words or any explanation at all to what that was, where that came from, how that can even happen, in a dream.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of unknowns there. If things can affect us that deeply, and I worry that things can affect people that deeply to where they might harm themselves or others,
Yeah.
to that degree. It doesn't make sense to me. It's almost as if that came from an outside source, that I didn't originate within me, that it must have come from somewhere else. Now there's some woo, I'll tell you what. But um,
You know what else I just remembered too was my daughter takes melatonin gummies,
oh,
and she is constantly, every time she takes them, she tells me she has the strangest dreams. Now, I've only taken melatonin a couple of times in the past, and I do remember them feeling like the next day I was like, "Oh my gosh, I had the strangest dreams." And they would consist of things like, floating in space, or just like really weird things, like things you don't normally dream about. And yeah, she tells me all the time, every time she wakes up, Mom, I had the weirdest dream. So
after
I think that
melatonin.
does melatonin.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah, but she takes those every night. Otherwise, for
wow.
some weird reason, I can't get her to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
good.
I thought I heard you say something.
No, I was just commenting.
Oh,
Um, yeah. So you mentioned that you had a dream about flying around or floating
well,
around.
this was only like when I took, so I don't normally have flying dreams. I'm jealous of all the people who say like, "Oh, I love the flying dreams." And I'm like, I never have those. And
Yeah.
but when I did take melatonin, now this was years ago, years and years and years ago, probably like, oh my gosh, like I don't know, 9, 10 years ago. And I took melatonin. I was at someone's house. I was having a hard time sleeping, and they're like, "Oh, here, take some melatonin. It'll help you sleep." And I remember saying the next morning at breakfast, I was like, "I don't know what that was you gave me, but I was floating in space." And I'm like, "Listen now, what was in that?" And they're like, "No, no, no, it was nothing weird. It's just melatonin." And I'm like, "Okay, well, it was real weird because I felt like my body felt light, like it had no weight to it. and I'm just floating out in space, like, no care in the world. And I remember that so vividly. And I thought, okay, that's weird. And then I
Yeah.
didn't want to take it anymore because I'm like, I don't know if I want to dream like that again. That was weird.
Usually, the flying dreams that I have is where I'm flying through a city, like over the buildings and that sort of thing. There was one that was really significant because I was flying through British Columbia, through Vancouver, actually, which is bizarre, but I remember it so well. Like even where the waterways were and how the city is set up and everything, it's like I could see it from the sky, from the air, like looking down on the city as I was flying through it. And I could, at the time I could draw, where the
Mhm.
waterways are and where the buildings were and all that stuff. And I'm like, you know, sometimes I wonder if we, don't leave our bodies or do leave our bodies at night.
Yeah. I want to take this conversation a little bit into kind of like a deeper woo part of dreaming, okay?
Yeah.
So, I don't know how much okay, so Cryptic Crystal was just asking first, what about dreams where people from your long ago past start showing up? Okay, I was literally just talking about that, so I don't know if you were here for that part, but I'll go over it really fast. That is in fact true. Your family members, friends, whoever have passed on, they will actually come to you and visit you in your dreams. That is one way of them contacting you, reaching out. Most of the time, it's to help you feel better with things like anxiety, um, depression, or anything like that that you're going through, something that's stressing you out in life. They usually come to try to help us, make us feel better. But they will give us signs if there is something like you're going through and you need help with that. They will come and help you along with that. But they are always around. And yes, they will come visit you in your dreams. Now, what I was going to say was, and a lot of people don't really think like this, but in fact, this is true. Okay, we are all shared energy. We talked about that a few minutes ago. You need to remember that every single thing you do in life is who you are around. Okay. We share their energy, we share their thoughts, we share the way they act, we share everything that they are giving out, and they are around us. Okay, you have to remember it's like we feed off of each other's energy. So if someone else, and we talked about this once, I think, on Dave's show, um, if someone else is going through something and you're around them, you're feeling a lot like you know what's going on with them. Or if you don't know, and all of a sudden you start feeling different feelings of like maybe they're going through something with depression or anxiety, and then maybe like you start feeling something, you're sharing that energy. Now, the other part of this is, and a lot of people don't think about this as well, but most of us, not all, but most of us who are in this community are in fact in the paranormal community, meaning you're either into ghost hunting, cryptids, aliens, um, obviously Bigfoot like we do, and anything like that. Well, when you're sharing paranormal energy, you have to remember that when you go to certain places and you are reaching out to those places or those creatures or whatever it is that you're dealing with, even if you're someone who is taken, okay, an abductee, you have to remember that is also shared energy. And a lot of people don't think about that. So let's just say you go to a location, a haunted location, and you think, okay, I went to this haunted location and I left, but you don't remember that you were just sharing energy in a haunted location with spirits that have moved on. Okay, so it's the exact same thing for Lee and I. So, like when we go out and we go looking for Bigfoot, we're in their energy field. We're there, okay? That's why we're looking for EMF, or we're sharing that energy field. And a lot of people forget that you are all one. So remind yourself, like if you're going through something and you're not quite sure what's going on, it may in fact be someone else around you that's going through that. So for all of us who are in this field, just remind yourselves that we in fact do share each other's space, each other's energy, and what we're giving off and what they're giving back. So, it's just food for thought for people who are in this field. And don't forget that when you do actually reach out and or you go to certain places or you're hanging out with people who do this, that that's what we do as humans. So I
Yeah.
was curious to say, I had a dream. I went on a hike with my ex and she had the same one. The shirt she was wearing, she actually forgot at home when we moved into college.
I just find it interesting that people are having shared dreams. That's something we haven't touched on last night. Or tonight. I have heard that
Yeah.
about people having shared dreams before, especially
Yeah.
the closer the people are. Uh,
You and I actually had a weird dream like that once before where about a location we both, I think even maybe Tom, a friend of yours that we don't talk about too much on here, but he has a
yeah,
real good
yeah.
friend named Tom. And there was this one time where we were all three dreaming about this very weird location
Mm.
and aliens and the whole bit. So I thought that was pretty strange when we were all going through that. But yeah, shared dreams. That is something that I've heard about quite often over the years. And I think Lee has at
Yeah,
least heard the
I've
same.
actually got something about that because some of the dreams that have manifested, in life in a certain way. And I talked about that black diamond shaped craft that was giving off the blue light. The
Mhm.
next day, actually it was the next week, I got a picture from my buddy Andrew, and he had a black diamond on his shirt, that he wore. And he sent, "Hey, check out my new shirt." I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's crazy." I just had a dream about something just like this. And then we were up went on a hike up to I can't remember the name of the peak of the mountain up in the Cascades here in Washington State. And we were looking at these 4 points. And apparently these points are called the booties. It's a star cluster and it's shaped like a diamond. And so, I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. I wonder if this has anything to do with the dream that we had. So there was all these correlations to that dream that went down the line, and like again, Tom kind of came out and said, well, this is, you're having dreams they're this way, and then you're having this sort of thing happen in life, where it's pinning back to that dream. There must be something to it, right? So I think that happens with these significant dreams that we have. Is where you'll find in life where there's underpinning to that dream, and those things you should be definitely paying attention to, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually dream quite a bit about past family members that have passed on. And one of the things that I would recommend to anyone who's interested in connecting with, family members or friends who have passed on, talk to them. Talk to them out loud. Let them know that you want them to visit you in your dreams. And believe it or not, they will actually come visit you in your dreams. So if anyone out there is interested in, possibly maybe getting like connecting or getting a message, or maybe just in fact trying to feel better about something that maybe, there wasn't a chance for you guys to say goodbye, or, whatever your circumstances are, you can in fact communicate. I do that with past family members. I have this really strange thing about when I go to this certain location in Arizona. I don't know why it happens, but every single time I go, I have dreams about all of my past relatives. Like it's like they come visit me there every single time without fail. It's so bizarre. And it almost makes me wonder, is there something specific about the location? I don't know. I can't explain that, but I do find it interesting that never fails every single time I go to this one specific location, and it's actually just a spa like hotel place that I've been a million times, but I find it interesting. But if you are curious about like dreams and nightmares, or if you're going through something, believe it or not, if you research information, even if you think like, okay, what is there really going to be any answers out there? A lot of times you get a lot of people out there who go through this who can just like talk about it and maybe refer you to a certain site that you might be able to learn more about that.
Mhm.
So I know it's not always easy, especially when your kids are having like the nightmares and the night terrors. Believe me, my children went through it, and back in the day, I didn't know where to turn to. I was like, oh my God, night after night of screaming and trying to make sure, your kid knows, like, oh, look, you're awake, but really they're not. Um, but like I said in the beginning, we're not experts on this. We're just talking about like experiences. That's what we do.
Mhm.
And so I just highly recommend that if you are going through something, always look that up, like research the situation. There are so many ways of getting like information to help you get through something. And anytime, we'll always be here to talk. So if anybody just wants to reach out and talk to us, feel free. Please feel free. We'll help
Yes,
you with anything.
absolutely. You can find us on Facebook. And you can also watch our shows on YouTube under Spaced Out Radio. So, that's where you'll find all of our archives on there. If you're interested in looking at our past stuff, and we usually go over, we talk about everything that's considered paranormal.
Yeah. Yeah. Just so everybody's aware, though, our show is mainly about experiences.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about things that we've been through. We talk about things that we know other people have been through. But that's mainly what our show is about. We're not claiming to be dream experts or experts on anything. So we just want to put that out there just in case anybody's wondering. It is just for us to come out and talk to you guys about things that, we go through just like everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. We do.
Yeah.
We have Dave Scott up next, and definitely tune in for his show, guys.
Absolutely.
He always has the best guests. We are
Aw.
talking about having some guests in the future, possibly. So
Yeah.
we'll share more with you guys on that. And with
Absolutely.
that, guys, I need to
Thank
get
you
over
guys,
here.
everyone, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, by the way. Yes, we do appreciate that. I'm going to roll the outro.
Bye, guys. See you next week.